The rock cycle is the incredible life journey that rocks on Earth take. They are constantly being changed and reborn into new rocks through various natural processes. By understanding the rock cycle, we can start to learn how to read rocks, to understand the dynamic forces that shape our planet's surface. The rock cycle is one continuous process that transforms a rock from one type into another type over long periods of time. There are three main types of rock: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic, and they're formed through specific processes. These processes leave marks on the rocks, which we can use to identify the rock. To help us understand the rock cycle, let's break it into pieces. There are four pieces to the rock cycle: processes, products, materials, and pathways. Processes are a specific set of conditions that will take materials or a rock and turn them into something else. For example, deep in the earth, it is very hot. Any rock that goes deep enough will melt into magma. Melting is the process. Products are the rocks that form from the processes. These are igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks. Materials are the chemicals, minerals, or rocks that are used in a process to form a rock. Examples of that would be sediment, like dirt, sand, or other tiny rocks, magma or lava, or even existing rocks like igneous and sedimentary. Pathways are the possible outcomes for a rock or material. For example, a metamorphic rock has two pathways once it forms underground. One pathway is that it can become so deeply buried that it melts into magma. Another pathway is that it is slowly forced to the surface where it begins to break down due to weathering. All right, now let's talk rocks. First, igneous rocks. Deep in the earth, rock material gets so hot, it melts into a semi-solid, super hot mineral mush. Igneous rocks are all formed when this mineral mush comes near the surface of the earth, cools down, and crystallizes. The center of our planet is made of molten metal, and this heat keeps most of the layers of the earth very hot. The deeper you go in the crust, the hotter it gets. If you go deep enough, you will find magma. Magma is a semi-solid, super hot mush made up of minerals that mix together and flow. When magma is pushed to the surface of the earth and it's no longer underground, it becomes lava. Lava is almost the same as magma, but it's mixed with the chemistry of the air, and that changes the mineral chemistry a little bit. When magma is close to the surface of our planet, it starts to cool down because the atmosphere is much cooler than the deep earth. It takes a long time to cool, which gives the minerals in the mush a long time to grow and form crystals. When lava erupts to the surface of our planet, it cools really fast. Sometimes it cools a rock instantly, but sometimes it can take up to days or weeks. The texture of an igneous rock describes the minerals inside the rock. When the minerals are large enough to see without a microscope or hand lens, the texture is called coarse-grained. When magma cools, it cools very slowly, and the rocks that form it are made up of very large minerals. These are called intrusive igneous rocks. I like to remember intrusive by remembering that they form in the crust. Rocks that form from lava have mineral crystals so small we can't see them without a microscope. These are fine-grained igneous rocks. Now, this is because lava cools so fast that the minerals that make up the rock don't have time to form crystals large enough to see with your eyes. These are called extrusive igneous rocks. And I like to remember extrusive by remembering that they form after they exit the crust. Now, let's talk about sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks are created from sediments, or tiny broken up bits of dirt, rock, and minerals. These sediments travel from high places to low places through the forces of gravity, water, or wind. And as the years pass, these sediments get pressed together and harden, turning into solid rocks. The process of sedimentary rock formation begins with weathering. Weathering is the breakdown of rocks and minerals on the surface of the earth due to exposure to elements like wind, water, and temperature changes. As weathering occurs, the broken down rocks and minerals are carried away by wind, water, or ice. This process is called erosion. The eroded particles are known of as sediment. Now, the eroded sediment is transported by wind, water, or ice until it reaches a place where the movement slows down, like a deep ocean basin. This is known of as deposition. The sediment settles there and it accumulates in layers. As more and more sediment is deposited, the weight of the layers above compresses the sediment at the bottom. This compression is called compaction. Over time, the sediment becomes compacted and hardened. The final step in the formation process is cementation. Minerals dissolved in the water in the ground seep through the layers of sediment and act like a glue, binding the particles together. This process creates a rock that is solid, and it's known of as sedimentary rock. Sedimentary rocks have different textures based on the size and shape of the sediments or grains that make up the rock. Coarse texture is when the grains of the rock are large, big enough to see without a microscope. And a fine texture is when the grains of the minerals are too small to see with your eyes. Lastly, let's talk about metamorphic rocks. Now, metamorphic rocks are formed when a rock is changed in some way, either by extreme heat or extreme pressure. Metamorphic rocks can have many kinds of texture, but they fall into two categories: foliated and non-foliated. Foliated rocks have layers or stripes of minerals. This happens when the minerals in the rock squish together under extreme pressure into layers or stripes. And non-foliated rocks look a lot like a mineral that has a lot of different colors in it sometimes all the same color. But these rocks form when the original rock is heated up to extreme temperatures and the minerals partially remelt to make a blobby or a mosaic shape.